Good evening and welcome to Sports Roundup right here on Agate TV. Your go-to hub for breaking down the biggest sports stories shaping the world of sports. I am Emmanuel Tiavia, and tonight we've got a loaded ship. Joining me is the sharp and ever analytical Andona Akwokbam, also known as Crazy E. Crazy E, welcome to Agate TV's Sports Roundup.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I feel honored. Thank you.
And together, we'll be diving into two hot button topics lighting up headlines across the globe. First, the whirlwind 10-day transfer window just slammed shut. From surprise moves to record-breaking signings, we'll spotlight the deals that could change club fortunes heading into next season. Then we head across the Atlantic to the United States, where FIFA's revamped Club World Cup is stirring up more than just excitement. With Saudi funding, football's next expanded teams and growing backlash from players and unions, is this tournament football's next big leap or a ticking time bomb? Strapping, it's Sports Roundup and the game just kicked off. We'll be right back. Well, welcome back to Sports Roundup here on Agate TV. In this segment, we turn our focus to a football spectacle generating as much heat off the pitch as it does on it. And that is the revamped FIFA Club World Cup now underway in the United States. Before I turn over to our guest analyst today, Crazy E, with prize money exceeding £750 million, that is $1 billion, and individual clubs standing to earn as much as $97 million, the stakes have never been higher, and neither has the controversy. Real Madrid kick off their campaign against Saudi-owned Al Hilal in the Hard Rock Stadium in Miami, home of Lionel Messi's own club, after splashing £8 million to bring Trent Alexander-Arnold on board early. A player they could have signed for free, they decided to sign him a few days before the expiration of his contract so that he can play for them. Meanwhile, global rights for the tournament were sold to DAZN for a staggering $1 billion, only for Saudi's public investment fund to later invest an identical sum into the broadcaster. Critics say this signals a strategic push by Saudi Arabia to dominate world football, especially after being awarded the hosting rights to the 2034 World Cup under murky substances. Is this the future of football or a dangerous game of sports geopolitics? Now, Andonako, how much of a game changer is Saudi Arabia's financial involvement in global football, especially in this new Club World Cup format?
Well, you must say it's going to be it's a big occasion. It's a big one. It has gone from a tournament where you had just 7 teams and it has gone to a few games to something that has a lot more teams, a lot more games to be played, and you have seen the investment from individual clubs in terms of their signings in preparation for that. So obviously there is a lot of money that has been pumped in, just the figures you have mentioned, and there is a lot to be gained from it. However, there is a long game, and it is that long game that we're yet to see materialize. But for now, people pushing so much funds into this tournament, there is something that is on the horizon that we will
Do you
see
think
soon.
fans are interested in this tournament?
Well, the reception, I would say, has been mixed. Those fans whose their club are already there, obviously they are very excited to see their clubs play. But then those fans who do not yet understand fully why their clubs are left out or their clubs are not even there, are not really interested. To them, it is still just Club World Cup. Nothing has really changed for them, really.
Do you think FIFA's decision to award the World Cup to Saudi Arabia was influenced as a result of Saudi Arabia, DAZN gave FIFA $1 billion, only to realize that Saudi Arabia also gave DAZN exactly the same thing, The two people will say, Nam Nawa, Ngo Karami.
Yes. Well, the process has not been very transparent, and a lot has happened in between. So it's not really clear for somebody to just say, yes, this is what it is. But there is a lot happening behind there, and you cannot ignore the figures. Follow the money and you see what has happened. It hasn't been very clear. So it's not far-fetched to assume that, yes, it has played a significant role. $1 billion is a huge figure. It's a huge figure. So in putting that, yes, I think
Not a billion naira, a billion dollars.
dollars. That is, convert that to naira.
1.5 trillion.
That is huge. That is huge. We can clear some of our debt profile with that kind of figure.
Well, Real Madrid paid £8 million for a player that they were going to get for free 2 weeks down the line. This kind of spending, and FIFA opened the transfer window 10 days just because of this Club World Cup. Do you think tournaments like this, because if you win this tournament, you'll get $97 million for just extra 3-4 weeks of work. Do you think super tournaments like this are going to dope football and tilt the transfer market?
Yes, I think it's going to further widen the gap between the traditional big teams and the smaller teams. Already, you have seen the activity of clubs trying to get in players ahead of the tournament. The fact that a special window was created for it, it goes to show just how much they have put into this. Now, giving clubs that kind of pot, $1 billion, that is a huge figure. Every time I say it, I feel somehow it's a very huge figure. Giving clubs already perceived to be big, that amount, it will further widen the gap, and then it speaks so much to football. Can the smaller teams catch up? Because realistically, right now, with the signings that have been done by the traditional big teams, it seems they are better suited and they stand a better chance of winning the tournament. So it goes back to widening the gap. It becomes more difficult for the little teams.
Well, if you're watching us and wondering what we're talking about the FIFA Club World Cup. And there are 8 groups of 4 teams each, meaning 32 teams are going to participate. And the format is that this tournament will now be played once every 4 years, no more just every year, January, February, December, January, Champions League winners, CAF champions, have a 2-3 match face-off.
Then,
you determine the Club World Cup winner. In Group A, we have Africa, one of Africa's representatives. By the way, Africa has 4 spots. The European teams is, I think, 9. South America, 6. Asia, 4. The Oceania group, 1. North America, the Caribbean, and Central America has 4 as well. And the host nation has an extra spot, which is the Inter Miami, and that is why Messi will be featuring in the Club World Cup. In Group A, Al Ahly, Inter Miami, Palmeiras, and Porto. Inter Miami are representing the MLS. Al Ahly, Africa from Egypt, Palmeiras from Brazil, and Porto from Europe, of course, of Portugal. And in Group B, we have Atletico Madrid, Botafogo, PSG, and Seattle Sounders, also from the MLS. In Group C, you have Auckland City, Bayern Munich, Benfica, and Boca Juniors. In Group D, Chelsea, AS Tunis, Flamengo, and Lyon. And not the Lyon of France, Lyon of South America. Group E, we have Inter Milan, Monterrey, River Plate, and Urawa Reds. In Group F, you have Dortmund, Fluminense, Mamelodi Sundowns, another African representative, and Ulsan. In Group G, we have Al Ain, Juventus, Man City, and Wydad Casablanca of Morocco, completing the 4 representatives of Africa, 3 from Sub-Saharan Africa and 1 from South Africa. No Nigerian representative, Crazy E.
Unfortunately, yes, unfortunately.
And Al Hilal from the country, of course, who pays the piper dictates the tune. Al Hilal in Group H alongside Pachuca of Mexico, Real Madrid, and RB Salzburg. Those are the 8 groups with the 32 teams. And the first match is at 1 a.m. Later this evening. Al Ahly versus Inter Miami at the Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. Who is going to win this tournament, looking at the teams involved? Who's your favorite? Don't tell me Chelsea.
It's difficult to say, but carrying their momentum from winning the Champions League, you would easily suggest PSG. and a lot of the, sports systems out there are giving them the highest chance of winning. So I would naturally go with PSG. However, seeing how much reinforcement other teams have done as well, the likes of Man City, even though Liverpool are not there, but they're also reinforcing. But then Real Madrid, going out of their way to get Arnold, just to tell you how they take
Eager.
this, yes, how eager they are. So I wouldn't pull anybody out, but I would say going with what PSG has already done, I'd say that momentum can push them to the final at the very least.
Well, going a little bit outside the ambit of strictly sports, the way the Saudis are spending money in football, buying Newcastle United, buying up a few other teams across Europe, buying all the big players to their league. Of course, this move is led by no other than the Nigerian former international Michael Menalo, who was once of Chelsea.
Yes.
Do you think this doping, so to speak, and petrodollar doping of football, will it destroy the traditional structures of football? What impact do you think it will have? Like you were speaking about long-term effects at the beginning.
Yes, I think already we've started seeing some of the effects. Firstly, the mini transfer window that was done just specifically for the Club World Cup. In the long term, that transfer window will expand further to accommodate that. And again, in terms of more games for the players, so you have players breaking down more. So young talents like coming up like Lamine Yamal, we may not see them up to their 30s or 40s like Ronaldo is doing at Al Nassr. They may not be able to keep up with that longevity anymore. And the figures are staggering. They are changing the perception of everything. So it basically becomes who has more gets what is best, and then leaves the rest behind. So we may not see the likelihood of somebody like Leicester winning the Premier League again. The chances of things like that happening will become very little because the best talents will
or Nottingham Forest, almost qualifying in the top four.
Thank you, exactly with what they have done. Although they equally did do a lot of business before the season, but still, you could see they had that push. But with the financial backing, and this is the truth of it, money talks. With all the money in the world, you can get the best talent, and it becomes difficult for others to compete with just regular homegrown talent and then what little they can get. So it just further widens the gap. That is the truth of it. And I think it's not good for football long term, because at the end of the day, it will no longer, just as football has become more about the stats and figures, it will become about the figures in terms of monetary value. People will no longer look at the sport like, let's look at a sport. It will become a business even more than what it is now.
But I thought more money in sports was good. We keep crying that our local sports needs more funding. And here we are saying there's too much money going into football. Is this the case of those who have are getting more and those who don't have are not getting anything?
Exactly. That is exactly what it is. The problem is finding a balance. What they are doing right now is going to cause a serious imbalance in football. If there is a balance, it means the little guy has an opportunity to win. And with every sports occasion, that is always the motivation for even the smallest teams. You believe that with team spirit, you may not have the best talent, but you feel you can go all the way. It will become more clearer, very daunting from the onset, that the teams with the most financial backing will win everything.
Just before we go for our break, just to remind you of something that happened a few years ago. Remember, there was a move to have a Super League in Europe.
Yeah.
Do you think this is FIFA's own response to that move by having a competition that gives the clubs enough financial compensation in case that kind of idea rears its head again and like, we don't need it?
Yes, true. I agree. The first time I saw the speculations about the Club World Cup, I had the feeling it was a way to fill that gap. Originally, the Super League came, but the suggestion of it came and the way people reacted. However, when an idea comes up, it doesn't go away truly. It still stays there. So I think FIFA did this in order to try and fill that vacuum. Hence, the process that has gone round it is basically, if you look at it realistically, it's some of the best teams in Europe playing in that competition. So it's similar in a way to what the Super League suggested.
Well, it's time now for us to take a quick break on Sports Roundup. We'll be back shortly. Don't go away. Welcome back to Sports Roundup, where the big names, bold moves, and billion-pound questions meet insight and debate. We start with major news from from the red half of Merseyside. Speaking about financial imbalance, Liverpool have shattered their club transfer record by agreeing, wait for it, a £116 million deal for Germany's attacking sensation Florian Wirtz from Bayer Leverkusen, teammate of Victor Boniface. The 22-year-old joins a growing German presence in the squad and becomes the club's second signing from Leverkusen this summer after right full-back Jeremy Frimpong arrived for £34 million. Wirtz turned heads with 57 goals in 197 games and helped Leverkusen lift their first ever Bundesliga title earlier last year. But with the pressure of a Premier League price tag and comparisons to past legends already mounting, Crazy E, does Wirtz have the mindset and physical edge to thrive under the demands of English football, especially at a club like Liverpool?
Well, the history of Liverpool is already, it's quite big. And the players that have come before him, they are also quite big. So he's coming into really, really big shoes. And he will take everything he has to give and more. Because looking at that figure, a lot of persons will be looking at the figure more than what he actually gives. So he would have to go above and beyond on the pitch. But he is a talented player, that much is certain. Whether he can live up to it, well, we'll see.
If he goes on to have, let's say, a normal season, maybe has like 10, 12 goals, 8 assists, would he be considered a success considering the price tag or a flop?
I don't think you pay £116 million for 12 goals. You simply don't do that.
But he's not a striker, you know.
Yes, I understand, but football now it's based on stats. And for an attacking midfielder, which he is, he will need to control games. So the stats will need to be there. I mean, similarly at Chelsea, for a very, very significantly lesser fee, Palmer was brought in and he had well over 40 goals and assists in his first season. I am not saying he has to replicate that, but when somebody pays over 100 for you, at the very least.
But Caicedo had a so-so first season at Chelsea.
I had a feeling you will bring that up. Now, this is the thing. Caicedo plays as a defensive midfielder. And even him, when in his first season, he found it quite difficult at adjusting to the new terrain. I believe he had an error leading to goal in one of his first games. So, obviously, there's going to be that phase. But then, he was saved by the fact that he played in the deeper part of the defense. Florian Wirtz is not going to have that leniency. He plays in attack. He will be part of the attack. A lot of people are going to be watching him and seeing what 160
Is he an indirect long-term replacement for Mohamed Salah?
Yes, I think he is. I think he is, and that is why the pressure will even be much more. Because seeing the very successful and illustrious career Salah has had at Liverpool,
delivering league titles,
you know, and then the figures with every season, the
Champions
consistency,
League.
Champions League, the trophies that come, individual honors, and all of that. There is a lot there, and I think for that fee, yes, he will be the next big thing.
Liverpool are still in the news because, of course, we know that Trent Alexander-Arnold left. During his unveiling, he declared that his dream was always to play for Real Madrid. The same player who a few moons ago did say that he wants to retire as a Liverpool legend and captain the club. He spoke Spanish, which means he must have been rehearsing for at least 6 months. He spoke flawless Spanish, off script.
Yeah.
Now, his comrade on the left-hand side of Liverpool's defense, Andy Robertson, a pillar of Liverpool's backline since 2017, says he's not done yet at 31 and insists that he still feels excellent and is willing to fight for his place, even as Liverpool eye Bournemouth's Milos Kerkez as a long-term successor. But Atletico Madrid are circling. Do you think that he would stay or he would leave? And if you were a Liverpool management staff, would you mind him leaving or staying?
Robertson packs a lot of experience. And right
But
now, with transition, right, you would want to keep that experience. But in the Premier League, when you start moving over 30, you're on the wrong side. And with so many,
especially for wing backs,
exactly, because they play such an important role in the league right now. So you'll be coming up against very young, prolific wingers.
like Florian Wirtz.
Exactly. So if you don't have the legs to keep up with them, you will be made a fool of. Now, I'm not saying he's washed. He still has something to offer. But going to Atletico Madrid will offer, the Serie A, it gives a level
The La Liga.
of the La Liga rather. It gives a level of leniency to players who are advanced in age. They can still play as the league allows. It's not so technical. It allows for players of that age to play. So yes, I would say the Atletico Madrid move is a good one for him. But obviously, Liverpool will still want him to keep him and will want to keep him, and I understand why.
It's beginning to look like the Anslot era is gradually moving away from the days of Klopp, because Andy Robertson on the left, Trent Alexander-Arnold on the right were a mainstay during the Klopp era and played a vital role. But Trent has left. There was no effort to really keep him. Now we have heard for months how Liverpool have been running after Bournemouth's Milos Kerkesh, indirectly meaning if you stay behind dear Robertson, you would be an afterthought. Is there any need for Liverpool to massively revamp their team, seeing how easy it was for them to win the league?
Yes, there is. There is a need for them to. Jurgen Klopp squeezed a lot out of that team. He built it himself, and he squeezed a lot out of that team. And right now, a lot of the players, the leaders in that team, they are quite far in their age in terms of football. And if Ancelotti wants to continue what he has started, yes, last season it was wonderful. What they did, it was very beautiful to see. But if he wants to build on that, he definitely has to revamp the team. And I think players having interest from other clubs, even though they are considered leaders in the team, it's very normal, and they will have to revamp that team. Otherwise, I mean, look at what Man City is doing already. They will be behind.
Well, the summer transfer window, let's look at the transfer heat map. The summer transfer window is upcoming. I mean, it's simmering, with Newcastle chasing Brighton's Joao Pedro and Arsenal submitting a £55 million bid for Sporting striker Victor Gyökeres. Before we go, let's look at Arsenal. In the transfer window, very silent, rather looking at a keeper called Kepa Arrizabalaga. And you have other teams that don't really need players going for players. I mean, £55 million for Victor Gyökeres. Does that send? Is that indicative of how serious Arsenal are to get a world-class finisher?
Well, Victor Gyökeres, his numbers speak for him. And a lot of persons will argue that one of the reasons why Arsenal has been unable to get their hands on any silverware is the absence of a striker. So it's understandable why they will be going for a striker.
£55 million?
Well, I think if you look at these numbers, and considering the market, that is a fair deal.
I am feeling that it's too low.
They should be lucky. There is so much happening there that we still don't know. But I believe that valuation comes from probably the existence of a release clause, or an agreement of a release clause, at least, a gentleman's agreement. The player should command a higher fee. That is the truth of it. He should command a higher fee. So if Arsenal has the chance, if I were Arsenal, I'd be jumping at the chance to secure him.
Well, jumping at the chance is what we are all about here as well. Napoli are eyeing Darwin Núñez, who is also attracting interest from Saudi clubs, while Bayer Leverkusen won City's James McCarthy. One of the sagas that we are following as we round off on the program is the fact that we thought Osimhen was finally on his way to Saudi Arabia, everything agreed, and suddenly changed his mind. Now we're hearing Liverpool are showing signs of interest. What is going on with number 9, Victor Osimhen?
With the Victor Osimhen situation, the player, he's a very talented player. However, it's difficult to tell what exactly he wants. At first, there was some insinuation that he was after the money, right? Because it was reported that the reasons why his deal with Chelsea didn't go through was because they couldn't come to an agreement as regards the wage profile. Now, Saudi Arabia came in and offered almost 3 times that value. So you would expect that if he was truly after the money, he would go there. But then he turned down the deal. Galatasaray want to keep him. He played very well for them, and they only sing praises of him. But as it stands, not a lot of clubs are coming in fully. There are interest, but there is so much there that we don't know. The question is, what does he want?
All right, and that's a beautiful note to leave it on. Our good brother Victor Osimhen, if you get to watch this, the question Nigerians are asking you is, waiting you want? Is it the money? Is it the trophies? Is it legacy? It is longevity? What do you really want? Because we want the best for you. And if the best is to go to Saudi Arabia, hurry up before the window shuts down on you again next time around. And if it's to play for a team, Arsenal fans, I am sure, must be singing Hosanna in their highest, in their secret compartments, wishing that you join their team. Because I know if you join Liverpool, we should just hand over the EPL to them once again. Until next week when we come your way again, on behalf of my guests on the call, my name is Emmanuel Tiavia. Stay tuned to Agate TV on all our platforms and visit www.agateradiotv.com for more. Good evening.